Why, hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time it is for you, thank you so much for joining me, and welcome to tonight's stream. It is a Thursday, which is not my usual day to stream, but I wanted some more of the Amnesia boys tonight. I wanted to see more of their craziness, and also I want to start the fan disc because I really want to start the fan disc. So, first things first, actually, we're gonna pop over here. Hello. Mostly because for anyone who hasn't seen it, I want to show off my new pride and joy. I say like I made it. I didn't. I paid someone to make it. But drum roll.
Here it is. It's me and the husband. I wasn't expecting to get it. I was expecting to have to wait like another few weeks or something. But nope. Artist got it to me fast. And I adore every single little bit of it. I'm absolutely blown away that they chose the wedding dress, because all I told them was please something romantic between, with me and Kuya, and choose any of my outfits that you would like. So they chose the wedding dress. So wow, that was an amazing burst. Yeah, isn't it? I'm gonna cover me up because I want to show off my favorite part. My favorite part is look how soft he looks. He looks soft. He looks so freaking soft, and my heart can't take it. My heart cannot take it. It is so freaking cute. I posted it on Twitter, and I have the artist's at. It is where did I put it? It is E_Damurushi. I love their work. I've loved their work for a long time. They've done a bunch of art for Hatful Boyfriend, which is how I found out about their art. And then I saw them on Skep, and I was like, I can't not. So yeah, absolute like joy. Just pure serotonin hit. Serotonin, dopamine, whatever you want to call it, is both probably. But yes, it's so good. It's my phone background now. Both my lock screen and my home screen. I was just like, alright, I can't not. Yeah. Oh, it's so precious. I didn't even notice that I was opening the email from Skeb last night. I was just going through my emails like, oh, I have a new email. I think I thought it was like a TikTok notification email or something. It might have been right below one, and I was just like, all right, whatever. Opening emails, mark them as read. And then I was like, wait a second. That's the Skeb logo. That's so yeah. They play it. I got it when I was home. But after this week has been crazy. And last week was even crazier. So it was like just the perfect little cherry on top that I needed to absolutely just like It's really silly. I woke up this morning too. Okay, thank you so much for stopping by, Felina.
Because I have it as my lock screen when I woke up and went to turn off my phone alarm, I opened my phone and I was immediately smacked in the face with a face full of Kuya looking at me, and I was like, I just grinned like really stupidly, and I was like, yay.
Alright, enough about me gushing about my scam. Enough of me gushing. Enough of me gushing. It's time to actually, like, do game stuffs. Those pop overhears. Nope, I wanted to hit that button. There we go. Alright. So I actually forgot to open Amnesia fully. So we're going to get to open it and see the loading screen that we're not going to watch because the opening music is copyrighted. Not that the whole of the music isn't, but it's a song that will get claimed. Alright, old tomato. Alright. Alrighty, so what we are doing is we are finishing up the last bits of this game. What was I trying to say? This game. So that we can then go to the fan disc. So the last thing we have is now Ukyo. Is the Memories of Ukyo. I don't think we played this, and if we did, I will hopefully remember, but I don't think we did. I think we stopped because I didn't have time. No, wait. No, wait, we did do this one. We did do this one. That's right. That's right. So I'm just gonna run through it, and then that's right. It was the side stories that we didn't do. It was the side stories. I forgot. Well, we'll slide through this. Alright. And then it's extra, I believe. Yes, here it is, the short stories. So we're just gonna go down from the top. We're gonna start with Shin. I think... Bye. Oh, that's right. There's no voice acting, so this is just Prince Reed. When the doorbell rang, it was 30 minutes past 10. No normal person would stop by so late, so it was obvious who it was. Without using the intercom or even looking through the peephole, I turned the lock to open the door and invited her in. The sight of her there came as no surprise. Shin! The familiar face from my childhood looked up at me and beamed. Wanna go see a movie? Without so much as a hello or an excuse me, she barged her way into my house. She lived nearby and was a year older than me. The Myoga University blazer she wore meant she was on her way home from school, and the guitar case slung across her back answered any questions as to why she would still be out this late in her uniform. After practicing with her bandmates, she probably met up with them somewhere. The look on her face showed how much fun she had, and my heart twinged a little. Why all of a sudden? Even though I sounded irritated, she was completely unfazed. Someone gave me a ticket, but only one. I'd feel lonely by myself, so I wanted to know if you'd come with me. I'll pay for half, okay? I'm sure you'll like it. The movie title on the ticket was of the season's #1 blockbuster, an epic space fantasy movie. It was heavily marketed on its flashy SFX and action, so I knew it wasn't something I'd hate. But I pushed the ticket back with a sigh. Isn't there anyone else besides me? Why don't you go with one of those girls? The reason I refused was because I didn't want other people to look at us and think that we were a couple. What? Is this like before we started dating? To still be hanging out with a childhood friend at this age was embarrassing. Is it? And I was still immature enough to be nervous at the thought of seeing a movie with a girl. What? And because I knew it was inconsequential to her, I was even more resistant to it. It seemed to hold no other meaning to her, as she told me. All my friends have Christmas Eve plans with their boyfriends on the 24th, so there's no one else to go with. I wanted to ask her, don't you see what that implies, going to see a movie with a guy on Christmas Eve? But of course, she probably wouldn't have thought that. I probably wouldn't have either if this were a couple months ago. Why would you accept a ticket for a movie on such an awkward day, and just the one? Was it a guy who gave you that, or a girl? A guy? Don't you think he has a ticket for the seat next to you? Did he ask you to go with him? She looked uncomfortable for a moment. He didn't say anything like that to me. Well, I guess maybe I thought he might have meant it in that way, but... When he gave me the ticket, I said, oh, this looks like a movie Shin would like, and just left it at that. Why? Well, isn't that date a little suspicious? What? I'm so confused. Where in the timeline is this side story? It was very suspicious. The guy definitely had his intentions. If he meant it the way it sounded, it would have been
awkward, so I just blurted out your name. Sorry. You shouldn't avoid the issue like that. Isn't it better to turn down properly? I couldn't help but feel sympathy for the man who'd worked up the courage to ask her out. She scrunched her shoulders uneasily. Turn him down? I couldn't do that. I want to believe he didn't mean it that way. He's part of the band, after all. Ah, I get it now, I thought to myself. My stomach dropped a bit. The image of her standing and singing in front of the band was so explosively powerful that it consumed my mind, even knowing all of her flaws from childhood. If it was like that for me, it's not surprising that a guy who saw her singing every day would have those kinds of feelings for her. But she simply wasn't prepared to accept those feelings, and to protect his feelings and their friendship, she pretended as if his invitation wasn't real and asked me instead. I got it. I'll go. I took the ticket from her and checked the time and seat number. I'll call the theater to see if the seat next to you is open. Let me borrow this for a sec. Oh, yes, thank you. I felt a pang in my heart when I saw her smile of relief and buried it deep down, turning my eyes away from her. The fact that I was now starting to be aware of her as a woman was something even I was conscious of. I was even aware of my jealousy towards the person who bought her the ticket. He was on his way to heartbreak, but even so, he was cherished enough to not want to be lost as a friend. He'd spent so much more time next to her than I have. The bigger difference was that he was thought of more as a man, where being on him on Christmas Eve was wrong. Interesting. Yes, that seat's fine, thank you. Days later, that seat suddenly became open again, and I was able to reserve it for myself. What? I guess a theater with assigned seats is interesting. No, never mind. I've done that a couple times. I was like, wait a second. I'm used to theaters where you just buy the ticket and you go in and you sit wherever the hell. A part of me felt sorry for him, but another part of me thought of him as a rival. Oh my goodness. I checked the time around 6 p.m. Although she was probably in the middle of practice, I gave her a call. Excuse me. I can't come to the phone right now, but I let out a sigh as the message played, then told her that I got the ticket. After I hung up, I wondered whether its original owner was right next to her now, listening to her sing. He might be looking at her with mixed feelings, checking himself with a stiff smile. I could never take his position. I pulled the strap of the bass guitar against the wall and plucked at the strings, turning my ear toward each deep pitch, but the sound that my untrained fingers spun out seemed hopelessly cloudy to me. The city was soaked in lights and the distant sound of choirs. In the alley at the back door of the cafe where she worked, she stood waiting for me. She wore a deep red dress the color of wine, and I wondered if it was a conscious decision based on the day. The bag on her arm, dedicated with white roses, shone in the dim alley light. Above her chest sat a rose-shaped pendant, presumably matched to her bag. My already embarrassed tread slowed to a half, and I looked over her clothes from top to bottom. What's with the outfit? Oh, is it weird? It wasn't weird. It was the perfect outfit for meeting a guy on Christmas Eve. Almost too perfect. It was unbearably cute. When I told my friends that I was going to see a movie with you, they all told me to wear this and that. Most likely her friends were counting on a story of love blossoming between longtime childhood friends. They probably thought it amusing that our relationship could change dramatically as a result of this date. I told them it was weird for me to dress up like this when it was just you, but I wanted to ask what was so weird about it, that it was Christmas Eve, so dressing up wasn't something out of the ordinary. But I couldn't tell whether I wanted to say it because of feelings of love or because seeing an old friend like that was surprising. My feelings were uncertain, even to me. Do I look kind of strange? No, you're fine. I hid my true feelings behind a short reply. My attitude towards her couldn't change now. Forget about that, let's go to the theater. Right. I left the alleyway as she obediently followed. As we entered the main street, the once distant clamor was now spread before us. It was impossible to not feel annoyed at the bustle of the holiday. What annoyed me more was the sight of a man waiting for us in front of the theater. Guitar case slung over his shoulder, leaning against the theater wall. He spotted us and stood up straight as if startled. I didn't have to ask who it was. I knew. It was the guy who originally asked her out for tonight. Sorry, I just needed to come here. I was sorry too. She stood motionless next to me. Is that kid your childhood friend, Shin? It ticked me off slightly to be called that kid. Oh, is that kid your childhood friend, Shin? Gosh, gotcha. That kid, but it wasn't lie that I was younger. It's nice to meet you, I said. I've seen you on stage before. Oh, you came to see the concert? Thanks. I didn't come to see your concert. I came for my friend. I looked at him silently with contempt, but as I watched him, he appeared to me more dense than I first considered him and showed no signs of noticing. Will there be more air hockey? I am uncertain. I am uncertain if there will be more air hockey. We'll see how long it takes to get through these side stories. But hello, Phantom. I hope you're having wonderful meowing, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you. Close childhood friend. Kinda nice. Yeah. But a movie on Christmas Eve, if anyone else saw you, they'd think you were dating. It was she who voiced her dissent. But we're not. Hearing her deny it so matter-of-factly was a sudden blow to my heart. If that's the case, then, does that mean that I can still hope? Of course you can't, I thought. Oh, well, you kind of avoided it before, but I do want to say something to you. The truth is, I want to... Shin, we better get going or we'll be late. Jiminy Christmas. Even I know that's a little rude. Hey, a bit obvious, don't you think? I muttered as we turned, but I don't think anyone heard me. Pulling my arm along with hers, she shook off the man running after her and headed towards the theater entrance. Jiminy Christmas. Wait, I'm not finished yet. Sorry, I'll see you at band practice. If you won't stop and listen, I'll just say it. I'm sorry, we're gonna be late. The thing is, I really like... I was the one to stop in my tracks now. She was walking at a hurried pace and stumbled from being pulled back so suddenly. Shin! I pretended I couldn't hear the reproach in her voice. She doesn't want to hear it, alright? The man trailing after us also stopped moving at my cold words. All she'll do is turn you down, so stop pushing it when you know it'll only upset her. It's disgraceful. Why you? Also, she's mine. What? Figure that much out. This time he was silent. I was lying, of course, but it was the most effective way of dispensing of him here. See ya. I took her hand from my arm and held onto it. Though it was sudden, she didn't complain or show any surprise. That the man had stopped following us was probably what she was happiest about. She looked at me with an expression on her face that said, "Thank you." I think this is before we started dating. Damn it, I spat inwardly. This can't be. The man who had been turned down so unceremoniously was actually ahead of me in her eyes. He was considered a man. What? If he were the one with his tight grip on her, she probably wouldn't be smiling at him like this. Even though I had lied to him out of possessiveness, from the look of gratitude on her face, I saw no trace of doubt in her eyes. I saw only trust. I'm so confused. And I knew she didn't regard me as a man. Then what does she regard you as? Thank you so much, Shin. To think, though, us being a couple. My irritation grew at the way she said it, so carefree. No matter how close we were, no matter that we were on a date on Christmas Eve, she felt safe because she thought I was safe. Like, I was like family. Maybe. If we were family, it would mean that as the years passed, we would grow distant. I wondered how long she was planning to keep things this way. Even if the guy wasn't her type, if someone who was were to show up, would she be happier with him? It was natural for us to always be together now, but one day we would go our separate ways. If this distance didn't change, nothing would. If I asked you seriously to go out with me, what would you do? Hearing this, she looked genuinely puzzled. Do you really want a girlfriend that badly? I'm sure you'll find a really nice girl, Shin. It was the worst possible answer. She didn't even think of us in that way in the slightest. I'm being supported in dating another girl. Forget it. Let's just go see the movie. Huh? I tightened my grip on her hand. Trying to change the relationship we built was probably not a good idea. If I tried to bridge the gap between us, it could potentially ruin everything. No matter how painful that might be, I won't let go of this hand. The day when I would no longer be able to suppress these growing feelings inside me didn't feel so far away. Oh, okay, cool. So I guess that was before we started dating. Interesting. Are all these gonna be before we start dating? Who knows? Next up. Iki. The others and myself, it was a scene reminiscent of a romantic film. Faded in color, the afternoon felt nostalgically sentimental. In the seat across from me, a girl with long hair tied up in complicated knots was sipping coffee through a straw. I was accustomed to partying with girls at this point. This situation was no different. Coffee here is delicious, isn't it? Casually prompting her to drink, I looked softly at her face. You're welcome here anytime. Yes. She gave me a watery smile and looked down at the coffee, giving all of her attention as if to hold back tears. As she sipped, the nearly empty glass made a clinking noise from the settling ice. Embarrassed by the sound, her cheeks turned red, and I found it adorable. Truly found it adorable. Despite that, there was no question in my mind that we would part. I didn't have romantic feelings for her, though there was no question of her infatuation with me. Until today, we'd experienced no problems in our relationship. From a bystander's view, it was surely a strange story. Furthermore, there are many others who wish to have a relationship with me, so to be bound to one person would be unfair. That was the reason I gave her. Yes, okay, I guess these are all before we started dating. Even I think it's a selfish idea. But there has never been a girl who's objected to my selfish reasoning. And so the cycles continued, starting again every 3 months. The confession, the companionship, and the breakup, there was no room for any change of feelings on my part. There were times when they would leave with a smile and times when they would cry. However, everything on my end was exactly the same each time. I spoke to her sympathetically. I suppose we should leave soon. Gently, I pulled the reluctant girl onto her feet. I'll wait for you. She pulled out her purse, but I refused. Moments later, we stepped outside into the busy street. Amidst the sound of vehicles passing by outside the cafe, I smiled at her. I'll see you again. Take care. Interesting.
I was kind but definitive in saying those words.
What? Head pass, thank you.
Meaning we would no longer be in a special relationship the next time we met. She managed to force her trembling lips into a semblance of a smile. Yeah, goodbye. Take care. I pushed back the dull pain I felt in my heart into the depths of my stomach. I couldn't say that I was lonely. It wasn't a word I was allowed. I was the one ending the relationship for my own convenience. A thought in my head resonated faintly that I wasn't doing this because I wanted to. What an excuse. No matter my circumstances, I was the one who decided to take this path. I was the one hurting her now, so the details of my circumstances were nothing but excuses. What more? Somewhere within my true feelings, I was even blaming her. You say that you like me, but you have nothing to say about us separating? You have no objections at all? I admonished her with unreasonable criticism in my mind, even though I was the one breaking up with her for my own benefit. It was impossible for me to utter such things. Thank you very much. It was fun. Going out with girl was, for the most part, genuinely fun. It became my preferred pastime to flirt, and I found all the sweet girls I could ensnare to be perfectly lovable. What? With as many variations of girls that existed in the world, I was fortunate to be able to try them all. Honey, you sound like such a fuckboy here. However, for one moment every 3 months, everything had to become difficult. I had fun as well. Goodbye. Having delivered the words by force of habit, I left the scene without another glance at her teary, crumbling expression. I gave her even less sympathy than I should have. I had done more than necessary during our time together to make sure I left no regrets. No, we didn't make him a fuckboy. He made himself a fuckboy with a wish. And then he turned into a fuckboy spectacular. Fuckboy supreme. As it ended, I let her go as swiftly and as calmly as possible. And thus was over. After this end, another beginning would come. It seemed that one day of this, out of a happy 3 months, was unavoidable. Moreover, the recurring situation I found myself in was common knowledge now. There was always another girl who came to confess to me a day or two after a breakup. It wasn't as if I didn't care who approached me, but I'm able to find most girls cute in their own way. To be honest, I considered it one of my greater strengths. Yeah, fuckboy morphosis. A little fuckboy larva into fuckboy pupa, and then fuckboy morphosis into a fuckboiterfly. No, that was bad.
I really like you, Iki.
The girl in front of me looked up with a face full of nervousness. As expected, I found her terribly charming. Her face was as normal as any young lady's, but it was the way she gripped her skirt that I loved. Her name was Teiko, if I recall correctly. Oh no. I saw no problem in dating her. I could have a lot of fun teasing her, flirting with her, and so much more, just like so many other girls. Until the last day of those 3 months. I heard a voice from somewhere else just as I was about to reply. Oh, that's right. We watched him like start going out with a girl. And we were like, oh, that was weird. I heard a voice from somewhere else just as I was about to reply. Teiko turned to look, startled. The person who stood at the other end of that gaze was a junior of mine from the place where I worked part-time. I'm sorry. Edging backwards, she looked distressed as she tried to leave the scene. I'm interrupting something, aren't I? I'll leave. I remembered vaguely that this was the path that she used to walk back home after work. She was a rare girl, one on whom my eyes had no effect. I found it refreshing and interesting to talk to her. If she had asked me on a date, I would have kicked all the others to the curb just to comply. That's how fond I was of her, but far from confessing any feelings, I was clearly aware she didn't like me, a fact which I found ironic. Yeah, a rare girl. An SSR girl. A UR rank girl. Yeah, gotcha girl. I was sure after witnessing such a scene, her impression of being a playboy at Grody was stronger. When I thought of this, suddenly everything else became so bothersome. We were in the middle of something, but don't worry, you needn't mind us, we'll be finished soon. Thinking I might be rejecting her, Teiko's shoulders started to tremble. Let's see, Teiko, was it? If I may be frank, you mean that you would like to date me, right? Teiko hurriedly nodded.
Yes.
When I date someone, I try to go as far as I possibly can with that girl. That is what I will think of our relationship, knowing this is still alright with you. Yeah, gotcha boy works too. I always make it clear from the start, there's no possibility that I could develop stronger feelings for you. I will not even put in the slightest effort to try. Even then, I ask, will they be fine with this? I'm currently single, so if you can truly accept these conditions, I wouldn't mind dating you at all. It was only for a brief moment that Teiko showed any hesitation. Of course it's alright, that's more than enough. It'd be like a dream. Is that so? That's usually how the conversation went. Afterwards, I would discuss with her the specifics in detail, we would exchange contact information, it would be decided. A new 3 months would begin, a beginning with an end already decided. Even though I knew I was beyond feeling any misery at this point, I couldn't help but wonder if the reason I felt so wistful was because Teiko was a bit my type. Or it could have just been because I actually liked the ex I broke up with. Perhaps a little bit of both. After I settled the routine details with Teiko, with a clouded mind I bid her a farewell. My junior, who had been quietly observing the conversation, finally spoke to me in a trembling voice. You're the worst. I blinked, somewhat caught off guard. I think that's the first time someone said that to me.
No one's ever said it to you?
I love we're just like absolutely shell-shocked at this man. She glared at me, her previously dazed expression suddenly turning into one full of anger. If no one's ever told you, then I will. What you're doing is simply awful. You should be more aware of other people's feelings. Maybe you've never actually fallen in love with someone, but can't you imagine for a second what that's like? If you fell in love with someone and gathered enough courage to confess, and you were then given the response that you gave just now? Can't you see? Can't you tell how horrible that is? Our voice disappeared into the air. If I fell in love with someone, if I was given the response I gave a month ago, I'd never given the thought of such an idea, having been confronted so suddenly I allowed myself to imagine. To imagine myself falling in love with someone was quite difficult, so instead I thought of it from the outside, observing my furious junior. The vision of her loving someone, gripping the fabric of her skirt and confessing, I love you, then the vision of her being responded with, I'll go as far as I can with you. Jiminy. How would she react? Would she love that man enough to think that was alright? Would that man really take advantage of her innocence, of her pure feelings? God, I wanted to punch that man. It's you, honey. As the thought faded away from my mind, I exhaled. You're right, that really is the worst.
Right?
It's so terrible, I wonder why no one said this to me before. There really is no excuse.
Right?
The reason no one had said this to me before, I knew full well. Oh, so much. There's a lot wrong with him. It was because anyone who looked into my eyes lost all motivation to condemn me. That was the world that I lived in, a world where everyone supported me. A world where, even when I've done nothing, I'm praised, I'm given respect, and I don't receive the reproach and discussion that should be owed to me. A world where the only one who could control me was myself. No matter how hard I worked, it went unacknowledged.
Oh, goodness. I thought I was going to hiccup there for a second, but I wasn't. Hush! Hush!
Because the flow of adoration was constant, there was no way of knowing whether a person truly recognized me. There was no opportunity for anyone to reproach me for lack of effort. Those who did hate me and kept their distance would not go to their way to denounce me. There were only a handful of people who point out my flaws. She was one of those people. I really am the worst. You're right, it's exactly as you say. After laughing it off and readjusting the view of my own actions, I felt more and more deplorable. Even then, I thought, I had been trying to show that I cared about my partners through my actions. But such an excuse was weak when on the heels of the abuse I directed at Teiko in my frustration. I hope you understand now. Why wasn't it that she confessed to me? What?
God, your brain, Iki, God.
It was foolish thought to have after having just accepted another girl's confession. If this girl would have confessed to me, I would treasure her with all I had. I would fix all the flaws she brought up to me. I would die rather than do anything she didn't like. Honey, what? I'd probably become the ideal partner. But such a thing was impossible. She would never fall in love with a man who would handle a girl's heart in such a harsh manner. I'm sorry for being so rude just now. Not at all. I was truly the one at fault. I apologize for this unpleasant experience. It's okay. Well, I'll be leaving. Of course. Goodbye. As I bid her farewell, I felt the same painful reluctance that I usually felt when breaking up with a girlfriend after 3 months. I pushed down the urge to run after her and ask her if she would be my girlfriend. After that display? No. The urge only subsided after I could no longer see her retreating figure. Ah, that's right. I'm Teiko's boyfriend now. Remembering the person that had just now become my girlfriend. Jesus. I took my cell phone out of my pocket. Once I learned that I was in the wrong, all I could do was appreciate what I had at the moment. To ignore the confession I just accepted and pine after another girl would make it difficult for her to ever like me.
Iki, there's so much wrong with everything that you've just said.
After 3 rings, I heard Teiko's voice, which already sounded nostalgic to me. I want to apologize about just now. You see, I want to take back the response I just gave.
What? Did I do something wrong?
At Teiko's panicked words, I couldn't help but smile. It's alright. I find her cute. I can care for her. No, that's not what I meant. I don't want to take back the idea of us dating. I want to take back what I said about trying to go as far as I can with you. I won't let myself think that way anymore. I'm not sure how much I can do exactly, but from this point forward, I do want to treat you properly.
What?
Jacob fell silent on the other end of the phone. Was it my imagination that she's even more surprised?
Look, they're fictional. It's fine.
That she's even more surprised now that when I said such selfish things to her earlier? Well, for reasons of my own, I cannot take back the 3-month limit. The reason? Right, I should explain that as well. When are you free? Let's have a long talk. I want to learn more about you too. This was the beginning. I don't know where the road... Why can't I fucking speak? I don't know where the road will lead from here. Shimmity fucking Christmas.
Hi, Wolf. I hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you.
My heart might wear down from the 3-month cycle, and I may have become too familiar with selfish relationships to the point that perhaps I wouldn't be able to care for her properly. Yet I wanted to become someone whom that girl would not despise. I would begin here first. I ended the call and returned my cell phone to my pocket.
Yeah, fucking Christmas.
Gazing regretfully in the direction she had left, I looked up at the sky. The spring sky was tinged a sweet violet blue, a sky that I had seen time and time again. Yet today I cherished it. I felt this faded world was suddenly becoming more colorful.
This I'm saved. Yeah, I won't lie. Iki's was a little wild.
This is going to take a little bit longer than I thought it was. What did Iki do? I think... Well, we got to look to see a bit in Iki's brain, and we got to see the extent of the fuckboyism. Alright, Kent short story. I shouldn't be just like staring at my phone at other husband art when I'm dealing with other husbands, but... Whether I should go return this umbrella today or not, that was the question at hand. The sky was visible from the laboratory windows and was spotted with clouds. From 1 to 10, how much fuckboy? 10. 10. Killed our crops and poisoned our water holes. No, he did not! Rain from this morning had ceased, come early afternoon, and it was bright outside despite it being the middle of the rainy season. She would probably not need this umbrella. Even so, should I return it to her? For a question that was not worth pondering, I had for some reason been contemplating it for quite some time.
He won't do it anymore. The only thing he's gonna be doing is other things with other things, and I can't... I had the joke in my brain, and I can't put it in words. I'm sorry.
The first problem of the day was whether I should take a walk despite the rain. The me of last year would have not. The reason for my daily strolls was only for maintaining good health, and if not for training, it was certainly not a job.
Hey, well, that's not... I think that's common knowledge.
There was no overwhelming reason in favor of walking out in the rain. My reason for hesitating was due to the image of the girl that I would meet in the mornings suddenly coming to mind. She would most likely come. Her walk in the mornings was for her dog. It was almost an obligation. There was a high probability she would go, even in the rain. I had seen confirmation of that in similar situations before. Using this as a basis, I considered whether I should go. In other words, did I want to meet her or not? I deliberated for some time, then, tired of contemplating the issue, and simply decided to leave. I put the question of whether I wanted to meet her or not on hold.
Hey! Hey! Well, of course my brain's been in the gutter. I've been staring at my Kuya art.
That was this morning. Oh, that was this morning. Walking even in this rain? Good for you. Sure enough, she was there, and she spoke to me in a somewhat sarcastic tone. Managing to keep pace next to her without thinking, I returned her sarcasm.
Isn't it? Isn't it? Best money spent ever. Best money spent ever is my phone screen. Is my lock screen and my home screen for my phone. So I can look at Kuya all the time. Also because of waking up in the morning and I just suddenly got lambasted with soft Kuya. And I was like... It was amazing. Is it? It's so good. It's so good. I've loved that artist's work for so long. I'm so glad I was able to commission them. Yeah, I've got boobs in the wedding outfit.
Managing to keep pace with her without thinking, I returned her sarcasm. You're so determined to go on a walk, you've got your dog in a raincoat. How diligent. The dog, wrapped up in a yellow raincoat, looked at me with round eyes. I wondered if it was conscious of being spoken about. I've thought this for a while, but the recent trend of treating dogs like humans is absurd. Is a raincoat necessary for a dog? It's a species that was originally born to live with fur. There's no reason to dress dogs the same way as humans who have evolved with a need for clothes. People say dogs are their family. Likely. But as including them simply means to ease the loneliness of lacking a nuclear family in the modern world, to me it is simply a sham. Thank you for your very important opinion.
That sounds yummy. That sounds so yummy.
After once again responding to sarcasm, she gave a strained smile. As you said, my dog probably doesn't need a raincoat, but it's convenient to put him in it. It's easier to wash him afterwards this way. Oh, I see. It's a question of convenience. I can agree with that. I truly was agreeing with her logic, but she seemed to take this as yet another attempt at mockery. She fell silent, puffing her cheeks out. I fell silent as well as at her childish expression.
Yeah, dogs in clothes are cute. Cats in clothes are cute, too. Sizable question, yeah.
Why did I cause her to make such a face? Why would she not smile? Why was my gaze pulled towards her presumably upset expression? The way she was wearing a white poncho in the place of an umbrella, or the way her bag was dangling from underneath in a manner where it would not be in the way, why did such little details remain burned in my vision? Every time I met her, I was consumed by these sorts of questions. Do you not need to use an umbrella? Your appearance is rather childish. The topic I chose to change the subject only seemed to further upset her.
Yeah, it's Squeaky.
I don't think Squeaky would let me put anything on her. She's like, She's a little bit of a persnickety old lady.
I love her, but I don't know if she'd ever let me put anything on her.
Sorry, I'm so childish. I use 2 hands to hold this leash, so I need both of them free. I see. A fair amount of forethought is needed. I doubt I could own a dog. If you think so, then you probably shouldn't own one. I'd feel bad for the dog, too. I didn't understand why our conversations became so caustic.
Cause literally, like, everything you said can be taken as an insult.
I was somewhere, somehow, pushing all the wrong buttons.
Yeah. Yeah, the most you get is yeah, the most we get is Marudu. Beautiful, precious Marudu.
I understood this much, but I had no idea how to fix things. What would make her smile? As I pondered this and looked down at her, she glared back for some reason. She might have thought that I was glaring at her. I was finding myself at a loss when I heard a voice cry, "Ah!" from behind us. Turning around, I saw a young girl with a tearful expression looking down at the river flowing next to the walkway. It was simple to tell what happened by following her line of vision. A red umbrella was sailing away on the river. Did your umbrella get blown away? She had also become aware of the girl's state. When called to, the child looked over, scrunching her eyebrows.
What do I do? My umbrella, it washed away.
It did, huh? In just a moment.
I looked on, puzzled, as she pulled back her sleeves. She was possibly trying to take off her poncho. What was she thinking? She must be joking. It was much better that I got wet than let her return home drenched. Thankfully, the rain was light. Use this. Before she was able to say anything, I thrust my umbrella towards the young girl.
But mister, would you get wet?
No, I don't believe this is when Pupper dies. I'm not so weak that this amount of rain would affect me. My house is close by as well. I heard that children catch cold easily if they're soaked for too long. If that's the case, it's better use this umbrella. However, you'll have to be more careful this time that it won't get blown away.
I
controlled her attempt to get a word in with a stare. I can't imagine that you're sturdy as I am. Your house was, if I recall, farther away from here. Therefore, it's much more efficient for me to give her my umbrella here. What? But you don't need to be so insistent about it. Besides that, now that I've given my umbrella, I'd like to return home. Any problems with that?
If child gets wet, then cold get. Oh, that's not what I...
The young child, who had been looking conflicted, seemed pressured by my words and grabbed the umbrella. She was probably considering whether or not it was all right to accept something from an unknown man, as much as a child could consider such a thing.
Thank you.
After having opened the umbrella, a men's size wholly unfitting to her, the child gave an unsteady bow and ran off. It seemed difficult for her to run with such a large umbrella. It may have been that the wind's resistance was too strong. Perhaps allowing her to give the child her poncho and then having her borrow my umbrella would have been much more effective after all.
Okay, have a fun bath, Phantom.
While I regretted the error of my decision, the girl beside me pulled up her poncho even though there was no longer any need. What are you doing? Please listen to me. I have an umbrella. She spoke as if angered, and from beneath her poncho, she produced a folding umbrella. Yes. Yes, he dates girls every 3 months. And then he breaks up with them and gets in with a new girl. He is the epitome of man whore. Please use this. It was too late for me to realize that this was what she was trying to convey earlier. You'll catch a cold. Please hurry and open it. I accepted the bluish-gray folding umbrella, decorated with a droplet pattern, and opened it. I'd erred after all. I should have listened to her properly and allowed her to give this to the child. Why did I always miscalculate my decisions when she was involved? In return, we'll meet again tomorrow, so you can just return it then. I don't need any thanks. I was planning to give it to her anyway. Just return it then. Also, you're getting soaked, Kent. You should take a proper shower when you get home. If you just listened to me, I would have been able to pull it out earlier. As she spoke rapidly, she glanced over with a sudden sullen look and added in a small voice, Still, I never expected you to do such a thing, Kent. You're nice. Am I nice? Hadn't I made a very large mistake in judgment? Shouldn't I have listened to you? When I sincerely pondered over these thoughts, she turned around swiftly. Anyway, both of us should head home for today. Yes, you're right. This amount of rain was of little consequence to me, but I was not eccentric enough to walk around town with a woman's umbrella. Watching her bobbing white form walk off, I sincerely felt that I'd erred in my decision. I'd barely talked to her today. Why'd I even come here? I don't know. I didn't want to answer that yet. Goodness gracious. No, actually, I'm apparently like all of these side stories are like from before we got together. So like the Shin side story was before we started dating Shin. The Iki side story was before we started dating Iki. So I'm guessing all these are going to be like before we started dating the guys. But I don't know how Toma's is going to go because we were never actually dating Toma. Excuse me. Either way, that was the reason I was in possession of her umbrella. I was told to return it tomorrow, so it was fine to wait, and whether for better or for worse, the rain had stopped, with the forecast for tomorrow being sunny. Until the time that I would meet her tomorrow, she would not find herself in need of this umbrella. And yet the reason my eyes trailed to my cell phone was because if I said I would return it, I'd be able to meet her again today. Since I was unable to see her for very long in the morning, I would be able to speak with her a little more if I did. Yeah, no pup or death. No pup or death. Even if it would simply end in another quarrel. Why did I hesitate, even already knowing the outcome? Why was my urge to meet her so great that I concocted reasons for it? Each time I asked myself this, I would suppress the barely visible answer deep into my heart. Am I possibly in love with her? Impossible. As I was on the verge of veering into a train of thought I shouldn't follow, there was a light knock on the laboratory door, followed by its opening. Ken, hide me! The man who spoke sharply as he came in was my friendly rival, EQ. Closing the door behind him, he quickly began looking behind desks and glancing around the laboratory in an attempt to hide. There was only one reason I could give for his desperation. It was a woman. Women want one thing and it's fucking disgusting. Are you being chased? Yes, by quite a few. In fact, you'd be surprised at the amount. EQ had barely managed to find a gap to squeeze into when suddenly the door swung open without a knock. Is Iki here? How noisy. The uninvited guests were 3 female college students. As they had rudely barged into the laboratory wearing ridiculously flashing clothes, I responded to them curtly. He's not here. Leave. Perhaps surprised by my forwardness, the 3 stopped in their tracks. Are you sure? What a ridiculous question. I'm busy. Leave. The effect was immediate. Looking defeated, the trio shuffled their way back out. EQ suffers some hardships as well, having to deal with fans without even a shred of common courtesy. After some time had passed since the door closed, EQ appeared again, coupled with a sigh. Thanks, that was a big help. Why were you being chased? Well, I was asked to help with an assignment they didn't understand, but when I refused, they started to chase me. It was actually pretty shocking. Wow. I had thought you fond of going along with a woman's advances, but I see there are times you turn them down as well. I have my preferences. It was unexpected for him to look so proud as he said this. I thought he didn't have preferences when it came to women, and the members of the previous trio were by normal standards rather beautiful. EQ, let me ask you, is it genuinely really annoying for one to use such small reasons as excuses to spend time with someone. Of course, the umbrella was on my mind when I asked this, though it applied to his situation as well. Yeah, he really can't avoid being a man whore. EQ lightly tilted his head. I don't know about in general, but if it was a girl that I liked, I'd be happy to see her. Is that how it is? That's how it is. These goddamn LARPers. I've wondered if she thought of me as a desirable partner. I had a feeling this was improbable. How does one deduce that another sees one as desirable? For example, if a woman who was not interested in you were to decide whether or not to converse with you, on what factors would she base her decision? Huh? Deciding on whether to approach someone, let's see. For me, the kind of girl I like to talk to is someone with whom I can have a pleasant conversation. That was too broad a category. I then felt some disgust at the fact that I did not fit even in so broad of a category. Is it a nuisance to be approached by someone you regularly devolve into arguments with? Of course it's a nuisance. Use your common sense. What exactly are you trying to ask? Nothing really. I dodged and carefully pushed the umbrella into a less visible position. Then let me rephrase the question. Is the desire to create small excuses in order to meet someone indicative of romantic feelings? I don't know. I think the girls just now were more curious than anything else. Well, I suppose it may be the start of falling in love. While tilting his neck, EQ further bent his waist as if trying to peer at my face. I seriously doubt this, but are you in love with someone? Impossible. With this one-word denial, without the slightest hint of suspicion, he murmured, of course not. Were romance and I seen as that disparate from each other? I figured as much. Even I could see it. I considered that she was 7 years my junior, that we weren't on very good terms, and the whole idea came to look ridiculous. Of course it was impossible. She would probably think it was a nuisance. I put down the cell phone I was about to dial and pushed it towards the umbrella. I didn't have to think about it. If I was told that this was love, I would have no idea what to do. That's why I wouldn't call her. I would no longer give thought to the umbrella. No matter how much anxiety I felt waiting for the next day, it simply must be a trick of the mind. That was what it had to be. That's a great question. I know we're both adults, but we are Kent is 25, and we have no age that is given, but we are older. No, we're 18. We're 18 or so. I, as a nigh 25-year-old, would not want to date an 18-year-old. Oh. Baby. You're a babby. But Kent, just so you know, I'm pretty sure love isn't all logic. Yeah. Less creepy. Especially if you're, like, in college and often seeing each other. I pretended not to hear EQ's generously given advice and shoved the umbrella deep into the gap between my books so that I would no longer give any more thought to her. I hadn't yet realized that this was the problem in and of itself. Yay! Kent done. Alright, only 2 left. It's time for Toma, and then Ukyo.
Toma!
That's right, Wolf, you weren't here for Toma. So, get ready for some interestingness.
I'm back, big brother.
I heard a small voice coming up from behind. When I stopped to turn around, I saw a girl arriving at the park, having just returned from kindergarten. Welcome back, you're early.
When I come early, I get to see you here, right? I tried my best.
I patted her head in approval and she smiled happily. Where's Shin?
Shin said he was gonna bring us some sandbox toys.
Then let's wait for him.
Okay.
I'd actually planned on going to a friend's house after school, but her small face was so excited that I decided to call it off.
Toma!
I heard another little voice calling for me. Brought along by his mother, Shin was carefully carrying a large bucket towards us. You okay, Shin? I can hold it for you.
I'm fine.
When I tried to walk to him, Shin shook his head and trundled over. He was out of breath from such strenuous work.
Shin, you're amazing. You tried really hard.
I can do it by myself now. In the bucket were 3 shovels. He probably knew too if he came early that I'd be here, so he brought one for each of us. It was my turn to feel happy, so I patted Shin's head as well. It was still 3 o'clock. We'd be able to play a long time until the evening bell rang. That's how it used to be back in the day, I think.
What? Shin was way too adorable. That can't be possible.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to imagine now. I couldn't help but grin at Mina's genuinely shocked expression. It was so surprising to her that she was still muttering amazed noises to herself. So you were called Big Brother back then? Yep, even though we weren't real siblings or anything, I was like the neighborhood older brother. So the girl who came today called you that too?
Yeah, Mine, that bitch.
As she said this, she turned to look towards the far end of the office. At that moment, the girl in question was interviewing with Mr. Waka for a part-time job at the cafe. Yep, I was called Big Brother by her too. She's a year ahead of me in school, right? And a year younger than me. Get along with her, alright? That might be hard. Why? She's not a bad person. Girls tend to hate me, usually. I wonder why. Oh, it's fine. She's not the type to be bothered by such things. She usually gets along well with everyone. Whoa, you didn't even deny that people don't like me. You're so mean, Toma. Even if other girls hate you, you shouldn't just keep doing the things you like. Oh, you should just keep doing the things you like. Actually, we didn't see a ton of Mine in this route. I don't know, we might have seen her like 2 or 3 times. But that's also because I think we spent about half the route in a cage. So, there's that. In fact, I think it's admirable that you're aware of it and still willing to do your own thing. Doesn't seem right to ask for anything more. What? After staring at me for a moment, Mina gave a disappointed sigh. That must be the reason why I'm not really all that attracted to you. What? Mine, what the fuck? Like, you're hard to get a rise out of and you're kind of strict, but you've got good looks and you're easy to talk to, so you're kind of both things. It's such a disappointment. Thanks? A ways away, the door opened and the two that were inside stepped out. She bowed politely and Mr. Waka nodded calmly. It's fucking wild. We spend a third to a half of the route in a dog cage. Did I compliment Mine? No. I just said that I think we only saw Mine for like a handful of times in Toma's route. And she wasn't like super crazy. I mean, I guess you could count that as a compliment, but... Looking up, she turned her head towards me and gave a cheerful smile. I got the job. I felt both relief and surprise and turned my gaze to Mr. Waka. He also gave me a quiet nod. Toma, you seem to be blessed with a wonderful friend. Let us have her join on staff. Oh no, it's a dog cage. It's a dog cage. For a large dog. We get shoved in there. And we spend like 2 weeks in there. 'Cause Toma's a yandere. And we were getting attacked. And, yeah, and Toma was like, the safest place for you to be is with me, so I'm not gonna let you, leave my house, and to make certain that you don't leave my house, I'm gonna put you in a cage. Yes. That's quite the quick decision. When I chose a person, I usually listen to my gut instincts. There hasn't yet been a time when that instinct was wrong. We'll have her start her shift next week. Conveniently, Monday's our weekly meeting. I'll introduce her to the other staff members then. Yeah. Stepping past me, Mine walked up to her. Yeah, but also no. We did willingly go to his house. It was just in, what's that charge? Involuntarily, entrapment? Yeah. Stepping past me, Mine walked up to her. After thoroughly looking her up and down, she smiled. I'm Mine. I'm a 12th grader, same as Shin. Looks like we'll be working together from now on. Nice to meet you. It's nice to meet you too. Since you're my senior at this job, may I call you Miss Mine? Having been asked so seriously, Mine waved her hands vigorously in refusal. What? No, you don't have to. I'm younger than you, so just talk to me normally. In fact, be more casual. Otherwise, I'll be uncomfortable. Then I'll just call you Mine. Please feel free to tell me what to do, and I'll try my very best. Watching their conversation, with neither being timid, I consider that they might get along well. After all, she was already friends with Sawa, so I hope that even after I left this job, the three of them would do well together. On the way back from the interview, I think we were friends in, like, the true route, the quote-unquote true route with Ukyo. But otherwise, I think we were pretty much kind of, like, always just acquaintances with possible enemies. On the way back from the interview, we meandered up the hill towards the setting sun. Congrats on the job. Thank you, Toma. Interviews are really nerve-wracking. Oh, it was fucking wild. Wolf, it was wild as hell. As if finally relieved, she gave a small laugh. Waka, I mean, the manager, apparently is super strict. Even though he gets a lot of applicants, he doesn't hire many. I see. I'm glad that I was then. Well, I figured you'd be fine.
Are you trying to flatter me?
Will there be any reason for me to?
Maybe.
Not at all. She fell a bit silent, as if she were somewhat put off. I thought she might have been pouting, but I couldn't think of a reason why she would need to pout. This had been happening a lot lately. I used to be able to tell exactly what she was thinking, but as we grew out of childhood, it became harder and harder to read her thoughts. She probably didn't want things to stay as they were, but it made me feel slightly lonely. Now that I think of it, when was it you guys started calling me by just my name? What do you mean? I was just thinking that you've stopped calling me Big Brother. Oh, I guess that was just until elementary school. Once we started, I stopped calling you that. Oh, is that when? The time I was treated as an older brother by her and Shin seemed now to be very short. But the impact of childhood is terrifyingly intense. Even now I was caught up in its friendly spell. But still, you as a waitress, huh? Why'd you decide to come to our cafe? I spoke aloud a thought I'd been wondering about for a while. It come as a surprise to me when she asked me to show her where I worked. I had the impression that she wasn't the type to do customer service, even if we were to share the same job. Yeah. Yeah, he choked us in the park and we managed to live. But we did bad end with Ukyo. We did bad end, and then I had to take a whole stream getting to the actual end of his route, which was fucking wild. Because you're there, Toma. Is it that you feel safer because I'm there? Well, I can understand that, but everyone was nervous at their first job. It would be reassuring to have a friend there. Shin worked once in a while at the cafe for the same reason. But you have to stand on your own. You'll be in trouble later on if you just keep relying on me. Though if she became completely independent, I'd end up blown later than I cared to admit. When I said to her these words that I didn't even really mean, she fell into silence. I'd probably stepped on mine. I'd upset her. She was pretty stubborn, and once she started sulking, it lasted. I had to avoid that happening at all costs, I thought to myself in a panic, despite the lack of change in my expression. It was Ukyo and Iki's fan club. We were getting love advice from Iki on Toma, and his fan club thought we were hitting on him. So they attacked. That's right. Do you have some free time now? Let's celebrate. Huh? I thought she would ignore me, but instead of looking up, but instead she looked up, puzzled. It was my chance to keep pushing. Let's buy some cake and go to your house. It'll be my treat. I could even buy you 2 or 3 slices if you want. Oh yeah. Her facial expression swam with indecision. She couldn't decide between being angry or having cake. Sorry, I don't know what I did. Sorry, I don't know what I did to upset you, but it's my fault completely. I'd like it if you'd forgive me. I'm not sure it's good that you don't know why I'm angry. Me too, but it's better to apologize than to not, right? You're always like that, Toma. Oh well. It's owie. And it's like, it's wild because it's like not my wrist, it's like the tendons in my hand. So I'm like, okay, fun. So that's interesting. I'm probably gonna brace it tomorrow at work too. But it's wild that it's my left hand because I'm not left-handed. The only thing I do with my left hand is type and use my cane. See, I don't do enough stuff that I think it would be actually be carpal tunnel. Because it's not like my wrist. It's like the top of my hand. Wild. I would like it to stop hurting. I felt relieved and pushed my heart down out of my throat. I may be a pushover, but when it comes to her, but she's even more of a pushover when it comes to me. Oh, if it's awkward for me to be in your house, we can stop by a cafe somewhere. Is there a cafe you'd like to go to? Yeah, that's why I think it's just like, I did flap really hard yesterday because I was super happy. So I'm like, did I like, who knows? Who knows? Come over to my place. I'd be happy if she meant it in a different way, but I quickly shook the thought that had popped out into my head. Oh, I guess a line carried over. If I thought those things, if I showed her I thought those things, I probably wouldn't be able to be with her like this anymore. At the very least, she wouldn't be asking me over so lightly. So I tried my hardest to crush those feelings as they came up. I don't like that it looks as if I was won over by food, but 2 slices of cake would be nice. The convenience store is fine, But if we go there, I'd like you to buy tea as well. Yeah, my happy flaps. My hand happy flaps. I do, and I'm super excited. So I flapped really hard yesterday because I was so excited. I was just like, I was happy stimming all over the place. So I'm like, did I is this a happiness injury?
A stim-related injury? Shit.
The way her tone had a light sweetness around it was very dear to me.
Yeah, only me. I'm a frail Victorian boy.
Can I come in? Yes, please do. I stepped into her not quite familiar room. This was the third time I'd come here, the first time being when I helped her move, the second when she called for me to help her with a circuit breaker in her room. I realized this was the first time I was invited over just to hang out. Have you gotten used to living alone? Somewhat. Oh, and thank you for helping me back then. I guess she was talking about the breaker incident. She bowed her head towards me. You don't have to thank me for that. It was a good learning experience.
Yeah.
She sighed as she stood up straight. I can't really get out of the habit of relying on you, can I? I didn't even need to point it out. Sorry. I really don't mind. I think I'd get pretty lonely if you stopped depending on me so quickly, so it's okay if you do for a while longer. I thought you just told me that I needed to stand on my own. Yeah, sorry about that. I guess I was trying a little too hard to show off. She laughed a little at my honest apology. I pulled out the cake and eclairs from the shopping bag and placed them on the table.
Hiccups.
I'll go get some cups. Go ahead and sit down. She walked off towards the small kitchen while I sat myself down on the carpet and glanced around the room. She had been living with her parents all this time, but starting this summer she would be living alone. The room was full of new furniture, but the reason it felt so warm and familiar was most likely from her smell. What? What? Eau de Prince? Eau de Prince? It's been a while since I've used the cups for guests. Holding one cup in each hand, she walked back over. Huh? I thought she'd sit across me, but for some inexplicable reason, she sat herself right next to me. I thought at first that leaning against the bed would be more comfortable, our close proximity in this large room made me nervous. Was I the only one weirdly conscious of this? From her strange silence, she also seemed to be slightly nervous. I wanted her to talk like she always did, but it seemed she didn't feel like it. What was she doing? I'll open this up for us. Pretending I wasn't bothered by anything, I poured the pretty red tea from the bottles into our cups. You really like tea, huh? I noticed most girls do. Yeah, I suppose, but I don't mind coffee tea either. Again, a short silence. Just when I could no longer endure it and tried to find some random topic to bring up, she reached over to her glass. Staring down at the deep red tea, she suddenly spoke. You had a girlfriend during your second year of high school, huh? What? Why is that what we bring up? It was neither phrased as a question nor as a statement, so my tongue was tied for a moment. Traitor. It said.
Why was it that it sounded like I was being condemned?
I felt as if a small yet extremely powerful explosive had been thrown at me. I did, but we broke up. In fact, it wasn't just 11th grade, but even before then, I had received quite a few confessions and dated a few people. I had meant to keep it a secret, but she was pretty sharp. Why'd you break up? Well, because, we just naturally drifted apart. Naturally drifted? You couldn't contact her even when you were in the same class? You know that my ex is in the same class as me even? I just happened to find out. What? Why does that sound like we were the stalker? The one person I didn't want knowing found out, huh? I thought regretfully in the corner of my mind. I wanted to hide this from her if I could. Why is it necessary for me to hide it, though, was something I could rationally explain. You started disliking her, even though you liked her before? Well, I felt no matter how I responded, her response would be terrifying. So I decided to tell her the truth. There was someone else that I liked. That's why we dated for a time, then we broke up. Hearing this, her expression became even steelier. I stepped on another landmine, didn't I? So you went out with her even though you didn't like her? It's not like that. Crap, I might not be able to dodge this one after all. I decided to confess more of the truth. It was still kind of despicable, but it was better than being misunderstood. I don't stand a chance with the person I love the most, but I can't give up on her, even though I need to, so in order to forget, I went out with another girl. I told her this at the beginning, though. I said that there's actually someone that I liked, but that I'd work hard so that while we were dating, she'd become who I liked most. But it was impossible. The one I liked the most never changed. I broke with her before things got too serious. I see. I couldn't fathom what she was thinking as she took a sip of tea, and neither can I, bro. She looked as if there was a lot she was thinking about, and I was finding each expression cute. I'm terrible, aren't I? Do you hate me?
No, I don't. I feel kind of relieved.
Huh? But I'm a little scared. The hurdles seem high.
What are you talking about?
Nothing. I was just thinking that I need to try harder.
Do you want a boyfriend too?
Her eyes went wide as she looked up.
What I asked? That's surprising? I asked her under the pretense of normal conversation too.
I do, but I also like being with you, Toma. With this, she leaned onto my arm. I felt a momentary lightheadedness from her soft weight.
We really should have gone to a cafe instead. The desire to embrace her was utterly overwhelming.
Geez, still at this age.
I laughed as if disbelieving of her, and I reached towards the cake I bought. I couldn't let myself be fazed by this. Don't deceive yourself. She doesn't think of you like that. Well, yes, he's dense, but I also think he's, I don't know. They all seem to be... I don't know. Amnesia is fucked in certain ways. So many weird things happening.
Come on, let's eat the cake. We went to the trouble of buying it. I placed it gently in front of her. She gave a small nod, sitting back up. I felt infinitely relieved once we were separated. I wondered how much longer we could stay like this. I would have to get stronger before she drifted away, so that when I saw her with another man, my heart wouldn't break. System save. True.
Alright, I just realized that I probably should be wearing my brace again. So I'm gonna grab it real quick, and then I'll be right back, and we will do Ukyo. So it'll take me like 2 seconds.
Alright, I'm kind of back. Not in my chair yet.
Oof. Yeah, I've broken both of my wrists, so... honestly, it's not terrible, but... that should be okay.
Hi, Cry. Thank you so much. I hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you.
Alright, it's Ukyo time! And then maybe we can start the frickin' fan disc. That's what I was trying to say. I had a dream. You were walking alongside the tracks in the bright afternoon light and passed in front of me on your way to the station. I was so happy to be able to see you again, so happy I could cry. I closed my eyes. I was having a dream. The bus, full of warm sunlight, gently rocked back and forth on the bumpy road, and there were no other passengers but me. Alright, I'm going to have to tighten this. As the bus stopped at a light through the windows, I could see your figure sitting at a cafe, talking with someone. Long hair, sparkling eyes, your cheerful face, your smile. Ah, I was able to see you again, I thought to myself. What bliss. No, it's too tight. Can I please just get... there. Okay. Once again, I was dreaming. Quiet rattling. The bus swayed and moved onwards toward its next destination. Now that I think of it, the first time I met you, I showed you how to get to the bus stop. I went on my way to the station. The worried look on your face was charming. When I told you it was dangerous to travel alone as you could get lost, you suddenly laughed and assured me you knew that someone would help. Your innocent belief in the kindness of others was surprisingly new to me. It was difficult to believe in others. It was difficult to continue loving someone. What? The bus swayed more than usual. There was an intense screech. Oh no. Rattling, a thud, a crash, breaking, crushing, fluttering. I saw the driver crawl out of the upturned bus from his window. He ran towards me, then stopped as he saw me. He was probably speechless. I couldn't see his face, so I couldn't tell for sure. The driver ran towards the main street and shouted in a loud voice, and I was left alone, crushed under the bus. Oh. Perhaps he had gone to call for help, but I knew he wouldn't make it in time. My legs wouldn't move, and I couldn't feel anything past my waist. I knew even if I tried to pull myself out, I wouldn't be able to. The bus didn't look like it was leaking gasoline, which was fortunate, so I would probably die from the blood loss alone. Wow! I knew this would happen from the moment I got on the bus. If there had been any other passengers beside me, I would not have boarded, but there weren't.
The universe is exceptionally cruel if you show weakness. No, even if you don't, it's in its nature to destroy that which is foreign to it.
Hi, Phantom. Welcome back.
Today was August 22nd. I would leave this world with 3 days to spare before the time limit. Even then, I was glad for this time around. I was able to see so much of her smiling face. It was short, but we exchanged words as waitress and a customer. It was so difficult to hold back my tears when she directed her voice towards me. I wanted to hear her more. I wanted to touch her. Even once, I wanted her to call my name. But that was a wish I'd long given up on. I couldn't get close to her, and the closer I did get, the more danger I put her in. Oh, yes. Yeah. That's why I had to die so quickly. The weather here was nice, and I was able to see her too. Up until today was enough, I thought, so I embarked on a journey with no destination. As I opened my eyes, the blue skies of summer were spread across in front of me. If I could leave here with this blue being the last thing I see, I would be at least a little bit happy. The blood flowing from my legs started creeping up my back, and the unpleasant sensation brought me back for a moment. The pain was distant, but the final pangs told me to keep struggling while I still had life. Failed again, huh? In the darkest, devoid of any senses, a soundless voice spoke to me. You have been resurrected. Your wish has not been fulfilled. That's why this cannot end yet. I cannot separate from you just yet. Even when he had gone through the same experience, the same pain of death, the reason Nil could speak so indifferently about it was because he was in existence akin to a god. Inside this muddy darkness, only Nil let off any light, though it was hazy. I am unsure whether light is the correct word, since most of my senses were fading. In the times before I reached a new world, I basically did not exist. My magic has nearly been depleted. At this rate, we will be unable to escape from this place. We will be bound to drift eternally in this darkness. Thousands. I wouldn't like that, I thought, feeling cold and heavy and cold. Even though I had experienced the pain of death countless times, I didn't like this idea. Being unable to disappear was frightening. The thought of there being no end was terrifying. I would rather have this endless loop of living and dying continue rather than be in eternal darkness. That's why I think I'll gamble on this one last time. One last time? Did we even have anything left to gamble with? Let's go back to that world, the world where you were with her. But that world is... She's already died there. That's why I must rewind time. In doing this, I will use up all my power and will most likely end up in a comatose state. However, it's all we have left. A comatose state? Does that mean I wouldn't be able to talk to him like this anymore? That isn't all. If you fail in that world, we will not be able to escape any longer. From this darkness? From this eternal terror? Yes, that is probably what would happen. But there is nothing else we can do. If we let this go, then we will truly lose our last chance. I would no longer be able to see her? Yes, that is what would happen. Oh, that would be miserable. The reason I was able to continue living like this, even when I could barely keep a grasp on my sanity, even as my soul continued to shatter, was because of her existence. I wanted to see her. With that simple goal in mind, I continued to live and to die. Also, he did kill us. Another probably 1,000 times, too, so. Are you scared? I'm not scared. If I could meet her one more time, I would be happy, no matter what would be waiting for me at the end. You've already given up, haven't you, on being saved? It's something I couldn't wish for. I couldn't wish for happiness. He made a wish for us to live. And he found out that he and we cannot live in the same universe together. So they went through, he got so a god was there to help him because the god is wishes. His wish was for us to live through the entirety of August and live to where he knew we were alive. And so constantly his wish was not being fulfilled. He doesn't know that we live till the end of August. And so he kept moving to world to world to world to world to world, except the universe tries to kill what is foreign to it, so he was getting killed, or he would kill us. Only, if I could see her become happy, that was all I needed. Even if you've given up, I won't. Ukyo, I promise I'll save you, and if I cannot save you, I will end it all. Thank you, Nil. I'm truly grateful for those words. Let's go, Ukyo. This is our last journey. Yes, let's go, to meet her one last time. One more time. What's wrong? You keep spacing out. I came to my senses and saw a face peering at me. I was reflected in her beautiful eyes. I was close enough to her to see both at the same time. See us both at the same time. Surprised, I took a large step backwards. Ah, watch out, huh? The moment I stepped back, my footing shook for an instant. I remembered that this park had stepping stones that were dangerous after a rain. Even in the absence of rain, it was easy to trip if you weren't careful. And at that moment, Ukyo is kill. Ukyo! Trying to stop me mid-fall, she hurriedly extended her hand. I was glad, though no matter how you looked at it, I was too heavy for her. I wrapped myself around her before falling onto my back. Thankfully, I was able to cushion her fall, but was she alright? Are you okay? We asked each other simultaneously. She did look extremely worried, but she didn't look like she was in pain, which meant she hadn't hurt herself. Knowing this, I sighed with relief. Ukyo, do you hurt anywhere? Yes, a little bit. I think I hit my back on this rock here. On a rock? That must have hurt. This is nothing. I don't think I've broken anything. It wasn't enough to leave a dent, much less break anything, but if I tried to get up, I would probably just fall over again, so I lay down on the grass instead. Gently, she pulled herself out of my arms and sat up next to me. Ukyo? I smiled. I'm fine. I'm just taking a break. I'll get up in a moment. Okay, I'll wait. She was adorable, sitting next to me with a worried expression for a while. Feeling a bit mischievous, I reached up and lightly pulled on her hair. At first, she showed resistance, but after a second tug, she leaned down towards me with some hesitation. I placed my hand behind her head, gently kissed her. I was so worried about you. I know. I'm not going to die. I promised that I'd keep the two of us safe. I wouldn't waste my life that I'd done before, so that this happiness would not end so easily. If possible, and for as long as possible, I'll stay by your side till the end. You know? Yes? Nah, it's nothing. Whether sick or healthy, I would stay with you until the last moment of my final breath. I'm so happy. Etching into my eyes the vision of that day's azure sky and your smile with a feeling of bliss, I closed my eyes. Was I still dreaming? What? Was that before or after? Who knows? Who knows?
Probably because that's how it would be. Alright, well, we did it! We've completed pretty much Amnesia Memories. And I want to start... Which one is it? Which one is it? It's Later. Amnesia Later is next. So, close. Give me 1 second. I gotta change up the game card. Check off the list. Check, check. Okay. Yep. Here it is. Meow. Warning, it's forbidden to distribute this game software. I know. It's a work of fiction. I know. Da 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 da. Automato. Alright, which one? Which one is it? It is Later. Amnesia Later! With a ring! Wash out, show, show, show! We're gonna play these in release date order. Which is why I did Later first. Ironically enough. We can't listen to the thing because it's copyrighted. Yeah, hot, hot, boy. Hot, hot, like nobody's business. Gallery. Alright, nothing there. Profiles. Nobody. Alright, here we go. New game! Let's do it! I've never played this one. Oh, new world. New world.
それはとある世界のとある国のとある女の子の物語。8月1日、彼女が目を覚ました時、すべての記憶は失われていた。
Yep.
傍らにいたのは精霊と名乗る不思議な少年オリオン。
I'd be a spirit.
精霊オリオンは記憶が失われたのは自分のせいだという。
we all know it's Japan, yeah.
記憶を取り戻すためなら何でも協力するというオリオンの助言に従い、少女は身の回りを調べ始める。
Investigation began.
やがて明らかになってゆく少女の人間関係。
Oh, by the way, how is the stream looking? I'm experimenting with some some settings. Does it look bad? Does it look good? Does it have no change from what you can tell? Looks great? Awesome. Okay, cool. Okay, uncovering more about her
そし
relationships.
て見え始める複雑に絡み合った思惑。
Complex intertwining of motives. It's smoother? That's good. I did up my bitrate like crazy. Which Twitch does not appear to like. Twitch is giving me the unstable average stream bitrate too high. But we'll see.
彼女の記憶が消えてしまった本当の理由。
The true reason for amnesia became
オリオン
clear.
は悟る。
Right, I figured it.
そうか、彼女が記憶喪失になったのは僕との衝突が原因じゃなかったんだ。
Oh.
すべてを知ろうともがく彼女の前に現れる組織の人間。伸びる魔の手。
What? An evil organization?
果たして彼女は記憶を取り戻せるのか。
What evil
記
organization?
憶が消えてしまった本当の原因は何なのか。
Huh?
オリオンは彼女を守りきることができるのか。
I thought we found out that it was because Ukyo was...
果たしてオリオンと彼女の運命は。
Oh, okay. I don't know.
っ
I
て
didn't...
いうような話だったらよかったのにな。
Oh, okay, there we go. If only things panned out that way. Goodness gracious, Ryan.
Don't scare me like that.
やあ、おはよう。目が覚めた？
Hello, alright. Oh, wait. I gotta set my settings. Options. Game settings. Text speed. You gotta go all the way fast, please. I'm gonna die if I have to do that slow. Yes, I'm awake.
あれ、まだ眠い？
Yes, I'm still sleepy.
昨日は遅くまで僕と作戦会議してたからね。
Oh, we're strategizing with Orion.
でも目が覚めるなりどなたでしたっけっていうのはちょっとひどい寝ぼけ方だよ。
That is a little rude.
ぼーっとしてるみたいだから今の君の状態について簡単にまとめてみたんだ。
Uh-huh.
今話したのが8月1日から今日までのあらすじ。
It really
僕
should
が
be.
精霊オリオン。思い出した？なんだよその顔。事実と違うところがあった？そうだっけ？だいたい事実通りだと思ったけどな。
No, we're not chased by an evil organization.
嘘です。ごめんなさい。
Yeah, you did
組織
lie.
の魔の手とか記憶喪失の真相とか全然何にもありません。
Well, we do know it wasn't Orion's fault.
単なる事故です。僕の責任です。
We know it wasn't entirely his fault because we
僕が
watched
君の精神体と衝突しちゃったせいで君の記憶が飛んじゃったんです。
Ukyo's end.
今のは僕の願望です。
Yeah, that's what you wished was true? That was chased by an evil
Ah.
organization?
本当に何か真相があるならいいのにな。
Yeah, well, we don't know the
もし君の背後に何か事情があったとしたら僕は君を守って戦うんだ。
Ryan.
知恵と勇気で君を導いて巨大な悪から君を助けるんだよ。
Well, we do know that we're fated to die, but we only knew that in Ukyo's route.
僕は人間のものには触れないし君以外の人間には見えないし喋ることもできないけど。
Mm-hmm.
追っ手がオリオン助けて。
What?
任せて。この町の地理は知り尽くしてるよ。 次の角で追っ手を巻くんだ。
Alright, if you had sugar?
なんてね。まあ実際には君の身辺調査さえままならない僕だけどね。はあ、現実は世知辛いね。
Well, alright, you're darling. I'm depending on you.
ありがとう。
You're welcome.
今はまだあんまり役に立ててないかもしれないけど、僕もっともっと頑張るからね。
You're gonna try very hard
まあ嘆いてばっかりいないで、できることを頑張らないとね。
to do what we can.
今の僕にできることは、君が安全に生活できるようにサポートすること。
Well, I appreciate your support, Ryan.
ねえ、見て見て。昨日君と作った人物相関図。
The chart? We made a chart?
夕べ君が眠ってから一人でこれを見て考えてたんだ。
Amazing. Parents are far away. I live alone. I don't have a boyfriend. Uh-huh.
昨日まで様子を伺ってみて、一通りの人間関係は分かってきたよね。
Uh-huh.
君の親はどこか遠くにいて不在。君は現在一人暮らしで彼氏はなし。特に親しいのは幼なじみ2人とバイト仲間4人ってとこ。
Amazing. The regular Ukyo, Iki's fan, Rika. Coworkers at Meido no Hitsuji. Myself, Shin, Toma, childhood friends. Coworkers Iki, Ket, Sawamine, manager.
傷害事件の真っ只中ってわけでもないし、悪質な女性集団によるいじめに遭ってるわけでもないし。
Well, we were previously, and having my life targeted for surprising reasons by a man with a tragic fate. That one's actually correct.
悲惨な運命の男から驚きの理由で命を付け狙われてるってわけでもないみたいだよね。
Nope, that's actually correct.
そこで提案なんだけど、これから頼りにできそうな相手を選んで、記憶喪失のことを相談してみない？
Someone dependable, yeah.
平和で一般的な人生を生きている君が記憶を取り戻すためには、それが一番の近道だって思うんだ。
That's the fastest
と
way,
りあえ
alright.
ず今日はバイトだよね。君が親しくしてるみんなとは結構会えるんじゃないかな。
See many people.
みんなと話をしながら、誰が
Ah,
一番頼りにできそうか改めて考えてみようよ。
how do we depend on the
そ
most?
れでもって君がこの人って思う人に今の状況を説明しておく。
Interesting. Is this the true root plus people?
でも何があるかわからないから慎重に様子を見ながらね。
I'll be careful.
どうかな、危険かな。まあバイトしながらゆっくり考えてみて。
Yeah, let's think about it.
そ
We
れじゃ
can
あ
do
着
this.
替えてバイトに出発。
Alright, to work.
Ba, 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 ba.
あれ
あれ？
何バイト行く途中だとしたら遅くない？今からならギリギリだろ。
はい、シェン。
どうせまた二度寝でもしてたんじゃないの？その寝起き悪いの直せよ。
朝っぱらから手厳しいお言葉ありがとう。
ことはありがとう。ありがとうじゃないよ。
分かってると思うけど一応説明ね。こいつはシン、君の幼なじみだよ。
幼なじみ。
不愛想だけど君のことはいろいろ気遣ってくれるんだ。スパルタだけどさ、
You can be
そ
Spartan.
れなりに信用を受ける相手だと思うから相談相手にしてもいいかもしれないね。
Mm-hmm. Maybe a good
何ぼーっ
candidate.
としてんの？返事もないとかいつも以上にひどいけど。
Mm.
別に寝ぼけてません。ちゃんと睡眠はとりました。
なんで俺の周りってボケてんのが多いんだろうな。
Well, maybe you're just hanging around the wrong people, Shin.
手がかかりすぎ。はあ世話焼けるやつばっかりだ。
Rude.
なんか引っかかる言い方だね。
Rude.
何かあったのかな？それとも単に君に対する愚痴？
Maybe he does need to vent. Something wrong?
朝起きたらうちの母親が米もパンも買い忘れてたってパニックってて。
That is a reason for panic. You don't have rice or bread?
米は重いから俺に頼もうと思ってただの。パンはいつもの店が定休日だっただの。
Oh.
朝っぱらから困り果ててたから俺がパン買いに来たとこ。
Mm.
しかもコンビニとか NG でこの通りの店指定でポイント貯めてるんだってさ。
That's That's interesting. She refuses to eat bread from the convenience store, but convenient bread is good. Milk pan is good.
そういう自分のミスで他人に迷惑かけるってどうなの？指定された以上は行くけど。
She's making you pay for her own bread? Like she's not buying the family bread? You are buying the bread with your money? Then it's your bread if you buy it with your money. Unless she's paying you back. And it's just like, look, I don't want to give you the money. Just like buy it, I'll pay you back tomorrow or something. But that's weird.
どうなんだろう。でも嫌な顔しつつもそれをちゃんと聞いてあげるあたり、シンは優しいってことかな。
Or just duty bound. Yeah, bread is good. I like bread.
お前にしろうちの母親にしろ、なんでそうボケてんの？自分で不便じゃないの？
Isn't it inconvenient for us? I mean, sometimes, yeah, but you can't really help it.
一言多いけど。
All ADHD, bro. I'm born with it.
てか、立ち話してる場合じゃないな。お前、もう行けよ。時間ないんだろ。
Bye.
あ、そうでした。
じゃあな。バイト、真面目にやれよ。
だってさ、バイトもだけど、頑張って情報収集しなきゃね。
Yeah, I gotta gather information. Alright, let's go!
はあ、シンの言う通りギリギリだったね。着替えちょっと雑だったかも。
We gotta get changed real fast.
おはよう。最近よく店で会うね。もう6日くらい連続で出てない？ずいぶん頑張るね。疲れも溜まってきてるんじゃないかな。ほら。君のヘッドドレス、斜めになってるのに気がついてないみたいだしね。これ、僕が直していい？
Please fix it, yes.
こら、朝一でさらっと距離詰めるな。
It's too early to get this close? Maybe.
このエロ魔人は君のバイト先の先輩であり、大学4年生の一期。
This player is your coworker.
ものすごく強烈に女の子にモテて、なんとファンクラブまで存在してる冗談みたいなやつで。
Unbelievable, don't I think? No, I think it's believable for him to have a fan club.
とにかくほっとくとどんどん接近してくるので、なんか反応して。
We gotta think of a way to react. Don't come close, I'm sick. Please do.
ちょっと
Sorry, Orion. I'm too gay.
意外。照れて逃げると思ったのにな。僕を意識してないってこと？
Yeah, see, that's the right answer.
だとしたら残念だけど。
I don't know if that was the right answer. I'm just guessing.
綺麗な髪だからずっと前から触りたいと思ってたし。
Okay.
そこまでだ、一休。
こ
Cat!
の声は。
We're just gonna flirt with everyone, see where it takes us.
彼女にそれ以上近づくな。神聖な職場でセクハラ行為など、店長が許してもこの私が許さん。
Yeah, I've already fallen for Iki Hook, Line, and Sinker, though.
出たな。統計怪人マッドケント。
Don't LARP at work, honey.
じゃなくて。彼はケント。同じくバイトの先輩で、聖地大学の院生らしい。統計怪人って一期が言ってたけど、実際そんな感じだよ。数字と理論の塊みたいなやつ。
この私の目の黒いうちはそのようなハレンチな真似はさせんぞ、一休。
へえ、何の権利があってケンは僕の邪魔をするのかな？
What right do you have to stop me?
権利ならある。なぜなら果実出題した数学パズルナンバー500、その勝者はこの私だからね。
Iki was able to beat
敗
it?
者は勝者に従う。それが世の常だと歴史が証明している。であれば、私には君の邪魔をする権利もあろう。
I
love these men. I love both of these men so much. It's not even funny.
嘘。ケンがそこまで勝利宣言するほど採点結果悪かった？
68点だったな。まあこちらも記念すべき500回目ということで難易度を上げすぎた感はある。
He doesn't wear the belts at work. I know. It looks so weird.
次からは少し優しくしよう。クリアできないパズルを出しても仕方ない。
やめてよそれ。手加減とかされると萎えるよ。やっぱ本気で来てくんないとさ。
What's the goal out on me?
言ったな。ではナンバー501は今までの最高難易度で出題しよう。
That was my upstairs neighbor.
こっちも全力で迎え撃つよ。やられっぱなしは性に合わないからね。
I love these men so fucking much.
500回もパズル出したり出されたりしてんのこの2人。飽きないな。
No, I think they're gonna do this to the end of time.
見ての通り一輝とケントはすごく仲がいいんだ。
仲がいいや。
双方ちょっと普通じゃない部分を持ち合わせてるけど信用できない人間ってわけじゃない。
普通じゃない。They're not normal.
この2人に相談するのも手だね。その場合どっちか片方より2人セットの方がいいかな。
セットセット Fuck! Why does this always happen to me? セット I know, there's no data quick load.
ところで
These two.
君、そのヘッドドレスは結局どうするの？
The math LARP nerds. I love it!
僕が直す？それともケンに直してもらう？
Uh-oh. Well, can you both not do it?
そこに話を戻すの？っていうかその2択？
These are our only options? Oh no! I have to choose! No! Okay, well here comes the dice.
Evens, I do Iki. And odds, I do Ken. Alright, it's evens. Iki, can you?
了解。じゃあこっちにおいで。
はい。
これだけ至近距離で君を見つめるのは初めてかな。
にゃー。
これで君が僕の虜になってくれたら嬉しいんだけど。どう？まだ聞かない？
As personal.
ヘッドドレス直すだけでしょ？
Fix the address.
君も悪趣味だな。
Hey, I know it.
何も進んで孤高に飛び込むこともある前に。
You have to say it.
盛り上がっているようだな。
Hi.
若さん、おはようございます。
おはよう。
おはようございます。
おはよ
おはよう。今日はこれで全員か。時間通りに揃ったようで何より
う。
だ。
時間通り。
ヘッドドレスがずれているな。
They're fixing it.
奥の姿見で直してくるがよい。
I
こち
hope.
らの話は進めていいよ。
I hope so.
だってさ、行こう。
Okay. Wait, you mean Iki was that close and he didn't fix my headdress? Damn.
どう？治った？さっきの人はこのお店の店長さんだよ。
It's the manager. Yep.
みんなからは店長とか若さんって呼ばれてる。
Waka-san.
基本いい人なんだけど。
He's generally a good person. I hope so. God, I hope so.
市内を常に腰から下げてるのはどういう理由なんだろうね。
What do you mean he always carries a sword on his hip?
早かったな。では、話を続けよ
No, wait, Orion, go back. What do you mean he carries a sword on his hip?
う。私は本日は厨房に入る。フロアは2人で手は足りる
Ah,
か。一気。
okay, I'll be on the floor.
問題ありません。フェアの最中でもないですから、二人で回せます。
I am down bad for the boys. Alright, two people.
では、ケント。厨房はどうだ？今日は早く来て仕込みをしていたようだが。
No. Did you set up the kitchen?
それですが店長、こちらでは問題が発覚している。
問題。マジ。
問題とは
問題と。
あなたに発注依頼をしておいた生バジルの代わりに
生バジル。
大量の乾燥バジルが届いている。
生バジル。
昨日の段階で生バジルは尽きた。これでは本日のパスタのジェノベーゼが作れない。
何？生バジルの代わりに乾燥バジルと。
He's taking this so hard.
先週の月曜も同じことがあったが、前回はあなたのミスということで謝罪を受けたはずだ。責任の所在は問わないが、2回連続で同じミスがあったのは痛い。
Oh no.
今から生バジルを買いに行くにしても開店は5分後だ。したがってこの件について判断を仰ぎたいんだが。
Oh no.
店長？
この私が2週にわたり失策を重ねたというのか。
Uh oh, is he about to explode?
なんということだ。一店舗の店長として許されざる失態。かくなる上は腹を切ってお詫び申し上げる。
腹？
ストップ店長。市内じゃ腹は切れませんし、切られたら困ります。
First of all, you can't cut yourself with bamboo. Second of all, don't.
まったくだ。だいたいこの店の店長はあなただ。なのにそのあなたが一体誰に詫びるというのか。
Oh, this is beautiful.
しかし店長ともあろう者が注文内容を間違えたとあっては末代までの恥。
Who's the next generation, baby?
この恥を注ぐには腹を切るしか。
Stop it! Enough seppuku!
だからここ現代日本ですから、喫茶店ですから。江戸城でも松の廊下でもありません。
Oh my god, I love it.
そのすぐ切腹しようとする癖やめてくださいよ、もう。
Can you stop this habit of wanting to commit seppuku all the time?
とにかく本日のパスタは別のものに差し替えたい。素材の少ないペペロンチーノが妥当だろう。
Pepperino! Yum!
勝手ながらその仕込みは済ませておいた。大した仕込みではない。
形がない。その気遣い痛み入る。
Appreciate your tact.
それじゃそういうことで、メイドの羊開店しましょう。
This is batshit wild. I love it.
よし、6番テーブル完了。
6番テーブル。
いやー、本日の鍋の注文入ると大変だね。土鍋熱いし重いし。
Nah, he's saying he's gonna commit seppuku because he ordered the wrong thing.
手が空いてれば一気が運んでくれるけど、毎回そういうわけにもいかないしさ。
Yeah. Hi, baby girl. What's up? It's like, what are you doing? Cuddles? Not right now, baby. Not right now.
けど喫茶店で本日の鍋ってどうなの？ありなの？
Squeak! Hi, lovely. I'm sorry. You want a pet? You want a pet? Oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do. You want a pet? Have some pets.
またお客さんだ。お帰りなさいま。あ、
おかえりなさい。
お疲れ。頑張ってる？
Hi, Toma.
ちは
And Sawa.
今日はあんたとイキさんがフロア担当だったんだね。
Why are you here?
こんにちは、先輩。
And you!
私、窓際の席がいいな。
What are you doing here?
なんか珍しい組み合わせだな。
珍しいコンビ。
覚えてると思うけど補足ね。この
どうした？ぼーっとして。また低血圧ひどくなってんの？
More blood pressure.
一人暮らしだからっていい加減な生活するなよ。体にガタが来てから後悔するんだから。
Yeah, we'll regret it because you're gonna put us in a cage.
おばちゃん的なのがトーマ。面倒見が良くてよく君の世話を焼いてる。 年は一つ上で、トーマは君の幼馴染だ。シンと3人兄弟みたいに育ったらしい。
ね
で、こっちの
え。This is...
それトーマさんの実体験？風邪ひいて寝込んで心細くなるって一人暮らしの最初の壁ってよく言いますよね。
First hurdle of feeling lonely alone. Of living alone is feeling lonely when you catch a cold. Yeah, understandable.
女の子がサワ。君と同い年で休日とか一緒に出かける友達みたいだよ。
I'll redo this. Too tight. There you go. I made it too tight.
ちょっと抜けてるとこあるけど、いい子だと思うな。
She's a little off. Rude.
でもトーマさんって実家近いんですよね。だったら風邪の時は実家帰ったら余裕じゃないですか。
この子はミネ。
Yep, Mina.
君の一つ下の高校3年生で、ちょっとわがままっぽいけど素直なことも言えるかな。
No, she's pretty bratty. I don't think she seems bratty. I think she is bratty.
この3人は全員メイドの羊のスタッフなんだ。そしてこの店のスタッフは基本的にみんな仲がいい。
Generally, everybody gets along.
だから逆に誰か一人を選んで相談相手にするとか難しいんだよね。
That's why it's hard to pick one person over the other.
風邪ひいて実家に帰るなんてありえないね。そんな甘いことさせてくんないよ、うちの親。
Yeah, I like
自立した生活できるように一人暮らしさせられてんだから、風邪とかも含めて自己責任だよ。
means living alone or sick, yeah.
ふ厳しいな。
Yep.
じゃあご両親は全然トーマさんに不干渉なんですか？
Do they?
そう。よほどのことがない限りは俺のことは放置だね。おかげでってこんなとこで立ち話は営業妨害だな。注文してからにしようか。
Yeah, talk more after you order.
はーい。じゃあ勝手に席に着きますね。
長話になりそうだから隅っこ行こう、隅っこ。
A corner?
窓際がいいのに。
長話？何の話しに来たんだろうね。
A long talk, huh?
お疲れ。
一気、向こうの接客済んだんだ。
なんか珍しい取り合わせできたね。トーマと女の子2人組って普段ないよね。
Yeah?
オーダーもう終わった？まだか。じゃあ僕、挨拶がてら注文受けにあの3人のとこ行ってこよ
My
うか
nose
な。
is itchy.
すみません。オーダーお願いします。
Oh, where?
ってあちらのお客様も僕だった。
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's your
Go, man.
customers.
僕の代わりに挨拶しといて。ただいま参ります。お待ちくださいませ、お嬢様。
だってさ。
Yep.
じゃあオーダー取りに行こうか。長話の内容も気になるし。
What you talking about, boys and girls?
やっぱそういうのは川べりだと思うわけよ。
Oh, planning an event? What for?
池とかはなしなんですか？貯水池とか。
A reservoir?
川が基本だと思うけどな。
じゃあ去年はどこで見つけたんです？私いなかったからわかんないんですけど。
What are they talking about?
あれはどこだっけ？
That is exactly what would happen. That is exactly what would happen. I would just be like, or I'd get extremely embarrassed. It would either be Princess of Puddle or Princess of a puddle of happiness or a puddle of embarrassment. I'd just be going, oh my god, guys, don't make a scene. Don't make a scene.
遊歩道だよ。でもあそこ整地されちゃったからダメか
Promenade.
もしれないね。
Are you like hunting frogs or something?
大雨の後に砂が詰まったとかで川の中と周りを徹底的にきれいにしたらしいよ。環境変わっちゃったから今年は期待できるかわかんないな。
I think they're hunting frogs.
じゃあどうしよう。いっそ山とか行きます？
Not frogs.
いいね、山、ロッジ、キャンプ、バーベキュー。いや待って、カレーも捨てがたい。
I mean, you probably could fry frogs. You can probably find frogs in the mountains. I don't know.
サワ先輩、 それ目的すり替わってる。
Yeah, she's starting to
どうせ
derail.
ならいろいろ楽しめばいいでしょ。人数多いんだしさ。
はあ、でもしんくんってこういうの嫌がらないですか？バーベキューとか嫌な顔しそう。
What? I'll be with you soon. Can you hold out? No, you're desperate for pets. No, you're desperate for pets. Oh, baby.
Doesn't seem like Shin would enjoy a barbecue.
あいつ個人主義に見えてそうでもないから付き合うと思うよ。
He actually really likes stuff like that. Yeah, he said that on his route. He actually likes like large gatherings of people.
積極的に会話に参加しないけど楽しんでる集団の中にいるのは好きなんだよ。
Yeah, he likes being with the fun crowd.
でもまあ山は微妙かな。日帰りできないからね。
Oh, a day trip. Fun.
へえ、ダメなんですか？
No, no.
君は高校生で受験生なんだから泊まりはダメ。また
Because
来年ね。
you.
トーマさん厳しい。
At college prep.
俺は監督役だからその辺はきちんとしないと。
You're the chaperone, Toma? I
てか別に
see.
最初から俺は優しく
Baby.
もないでしょ。
I'll be with you soon. Why are you so needy? I know, why are you so needy? I love you. You have a clean litter box? Well, I cleaned it like 2 days ago. You have water. You got your food this morning. I think you're just needy.
うわ、自分で言いますか。まあでも今回は日帰りって話だったし。
Okay, so we gotta pick a place for a day trip.
これ旅行か何かの話？
And fine.
日帰りでどこか遊びに行く予定でもあるのかな？
Mm-hmm.
おっとごめん。オーダーだよな。
That I do, yeah.
俺はブレンド。あ、いやカフェオレで。二人はどうする？
Oh, latte.
私シナモンミルクティーで。
今日厨房ケントさんだよね。じゃあ抹茶ラテ。
Oh, okay.
じゃあって何ですか？
Yeah, what?
ケントさんラテ系上手なのよ。シンくんも店長もうまいけど、その上を行くというか。
Mm.
ああ、なんか抹茶とミルクの配合率がどうの、温度がどうの、フォーム理論がどうの言ってたな。
His foam theory?
フォーム理論？
そうだ。ねえ先輩。先輩はどこに行きたいですか？
Oh, where do I want to go? Shoot.
何の話だろう？
I don't really have a preference.
あ、そうだよね。あんたが主役なんだからさ。
I am?
自分で選んじゃいなよ。
Wait, I am?
主役？この子も参加する予定だったの？しかも主役って何もわかんないよ。どうする？
Toma, you decide. No, I'm gonna say anywhere's okay.
ど
Anywhere's
こでも
okay.
いい。
まあまあ、急に話振られても、こいつも困るだろうしね。
Yeah.
この近辺で見つかりそうになかったら、少し遠出するけど、それはいいんだよね。
Yeah, sure, that's
遠
fine.
出に備えて全員ちゃんとバイト代貯めてる？まあせいぜい片道数千円だろうけど。
Mm.
オッケーです。
Yeah,
当然
uh-huh.
です。私結構真面目に貯金とかしてるんで。
You gonna have enough for bus fare back?
お前も大丈夫だよな。そのためにバイト多めに入れるって先月言ってたし。
Uh-huh.
そうなの？やけにシフトが多いなって思ってたけど、そういう理由なんだ。
Uh-huh.
お出かけするのは確実としても、何か目的があるようだけど、
Yeah,
それは何なんだろう？
why are we doing this? Who knows? Wow, we're home. Woo woo.
疲れた。そしてお疲れ様。
お疲れ様でーす。
今日もよく頑張りました。というわけで、ちょっとのんびりしながら作戦会議しようか。
Yeah, let's
今日はなぜか
strategize.
都合よく、あのお店のフルメンバーに会ったね。
Yeah, we met a lot of
僕はあの
friends.
メンバー
Yeah,
は誰を
yeah.
信用してもいいと思うんだ。
Who are we gonna trust?
みんな君が記憶喪失だって知ったら力になってくれるよ。そういう人たちだと思う。
Yeah, they're all nice people.
だけど、だからこそ誰か一人って選べないよね。
Uh-huh.
もう朝礼とかでいきなり暴露しちゃおうか。実は私記憶がないんですって。無謀すぎかな。
That is a possibility.
あ、でも君がたくさんシフトに入ってる理由
That is a
が判明した
possibility.
のは良かったね。君はあのバイトのメンバーと何かの目的を持ってどこかに行こうとしてた。
Yeah, we're planning a trip.
でさ、今日話題に出なかったけど、そのメンバーに一輝やケントは入ってないんじゃないかな。だってトーマが自分のことを監督役って言ってたでしょ。
Oh.
監督役ってグループの中の年長者がやることが多いよね。
I don't know. Usually it's probably the most responsible one, whether
だ
they
と
be
すると、
oldest or
その
not.
お出かけにトーマより年上の人間はいない。一輝やケント、ましてや店長は入ってないんだよ。
Oh no.
まあそこまで深く考えなくても、トーマたちが来た時の一輝の反応で予想はつくんだけど、珍しい組み合わせだってびっくりしてたもんね。お出かけのこと知ってたら驚かないよね。
True.
でもどこに何しに行くんだろう。
I don't know. This is different.
考えてもわかんないや。もういい。あとはまた明日。
また明日。
まだお風呂にも夕ご飯にも早いし、テレビでも見てダラダラしようよ。
Let's just watch some TV. Sounds good to
天
me.
気予報を見て明日の天気が良かったら、バイトに行く前に布団を干しておこうか。
Oh, true.
ふかふかのお布団ってすごく。これ何のニュース？
ですので、今年の異常発生は気候との関連ははっきりしないとのことです。
では去年のように一部の地域だけではなく、広い範囲でホタルが見られるということですね。
Fireflies!
そうですね。夏の風物詩が全国各地で楽しめそうです。
Fireflies!
ですけど、異常発生した結果、生態系が狂う恐れはないんでしょうか。
今年発生した個体は繁殖力が非常に弱いことが確認されていますので、特に影響はないそうです。
Amazing. There are a lot of fireflies, but they're not gonna fuck a lot, so.
そのあたりも不思議ですね。いずれその謎が解明されるんでしょうか。
ではもう一度先ほどの映像をご覧ください。信濃駅周辺で撮られたホタルの映像です。
Oh, fireflies. Wow, memory! Next year. Next year, we just have to go see them together. Huh? あちゃちゃ。
危な。急にフラッとくるんだもん。倒れ込むとこだったよ。
Did we get a memory?
でも、また一つ記憶が戻ったね。今喋ってたのって君でしょ？
わわ。
来年も見ようって言ってたけど、それってもしかしてホタルのことかな？
Yeah, the fireflies.
だって今テレビでその話してたでしょ？それを見て思い出したってことはそうじゃない？
Fireflies!
君は誰かとホタルを見る約束をしたんだ。
約束？
でもそれって誰なんだろう？
誰？
あ、ねえ、もしかして約束した相手ってトーマたちじゃないかな？
Did we
だっ
promise
てほら
Toma?
池、川、
You're good.
山とか言ってたし、
So
それってホタルがいる環境だよね。
orange. So, everybody's talking about planning a day trip. But we're like, what type of day trip are they planning? It appears that it's Toma, Shin, Mine, Sawa, and possibly us, who are planning this day trip. And we were uncertain exactly what type of trip or why. Toma said they were doing it for us, but we didn't remember. So we got home, we turned on the TV, and they're talking about fireflies. And there being fireflies all around. And we're like, oh, that's right. We wanted to go see fireflies. So, yeah, we've discovered that's why we're planning a day trip.
よし、じゃあ明日それを誰かに確認してみよう。約束した誰かとホタルを見れば、君の記憶ももっと勢いよくドバーッと
Maybe
戻
we
るかも
watch
しれ
the
ない。
fireflies with the person we promised.
トーマたちに的を絞って頑張るぞ。
Oh! However, It is now 10 o'clock at night for me. And my wrist is bothering me.
って言ったはずなんだけどな。
And I do have work tomorrow. So, this will have to be... True, he possibly would take us to the dog park. So, this is all the time we've got for today, unfortunately. Tomorrow will be, more Fire Emblem. So, without further ado, let's move over here. Alrighty, you guys know the usual song and dance. If you're not already following me on social medias, I would appreciate it if you would. You definitely follow me on Twitter because you get to see all the pretty arties and the fun stuff. Thank you so much for being here, Wolf. I appreciate it. Aw, thank you, ENVtuber. Yeah, thank you all so much for your support. It truly means a lot to me. Melrosy is strong. Woot woot. Yes, I'm excited to be more Amnesia Boy craziness. Goodness knows what's gonna happen next. These fandiscs usually aren't very high stakes, but who knows? Who knows? Yes, tomorrow is tomorrow's more Fire Emblem. We're gonna see more Marudu. More Marudu and hopefully some more hot guys, I hope. But yeah. Ugh. More Marudu! Yes, I hope you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you. And then, well, without any further ado, yeah, top hat kitty! Alright, bye-bye!